Before we begin, I want you guys to experience this wonder through virtual reality. Well, hopefully that was wonderful. It was for the audience. They really enjoyed it. And hopefully you guys will too at home. So we took a journey through our galaxy in virtual reality, traveling from the Earth to the Sun, through a black hole and back. Well, we couldn't really see the black hole because it was black. But experiencing this for the first time, actually experiencing anything pure and unique for the first time, I think is an act of receiving wonder. I think that in life we constantly go through this wonder giving and wonder receiving stages, constantly doing both. I like to define things that give wonder, like our sun, as white holes, and things that are in the acts of receiving wonder as black holes, like a black hole. I have this philosophy where I think that humans too act like white and black holes. So before we get into this theory, this philosophy, I first want to define what the black hole and white hole metaphors are. The black holes are just things that constantly take matter and energy in. So constantly this gravitating towards itself and taking these things in, compressing it down to a infinitely dense point at its center called its singularity. So anything that crosses its event horizon, the boundary of a black hole and space, is essentially doomed. So not even light escapes back to relay what was inside. Hence, that's why they're called black holes. So we have a supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy, rotating all these stars, all this matter around it. And as it's taking this in, it's also stripping them of its information as well. It's compressing its energy. So the information is what defined what that matter was, like the red fire truck, right? The red part can be defined as information. So according to our fundamental understanding of how the universe functions, energy and information must be conserved in an isolated system, like our universe. According to Stephen Hawking, this energy does actually leak back to the universe over time, because over time, a black hole eventually loses its mass and ceases to exist. So it leaves back various forms of radiation. But it does not leave back what it actually ate, like so the information of what it ate. So it kind of does, because through this like tiny hairs around the event horizon of the black hole, but in chaotic and useless form. So for all practical purposes, information is preserved, but it's meaningless. And that's not good. We need this information to be redefined, to be given back. So hypothetically, there can exist these white holes that instead of taking information and taking energy and they give it out. So they cause expansion instead of contraction. So purely from my philosophical perspective, I think that instead of there existing these white holes, supermassive white holes in the universe, which we haven't observed in the known universe, I think that there exists this infinitely tiny white holes instead, us humans. I think that we redefine information, we give out information, and by doing so we cause expansion. So what I mean by that is when you get a thought, right, a thought that is purely your own, mixed with your passion, it's like as you gravitate, everything you're inspired by, everything around you, take it in, it comes to your center, to your singularity. So you gravitate towards your singularity. From here, that thought is before it starts hitting a single neuron, before a neuron starts firing upon itself, you take this from your singularity. So the neuron starts hitting another neuron, so 2, 4, causing exponential expansion. That pure, like that passion, that idea mixed comes from an infinitely dense point at your center and comes out to become an action. So we cause expansion. We're very, very, very important to keeping equilibrium in a given galaxy. What I mean by that is, again, purely philosophical, is that I think that in a given galaxy there should exist many consciousnesses that constantly put out information, constantly redefine information. And if we add all these up, the sum should equal to the information destroyed by a black hole at the center of the galaxy. I think in life that we constantly go through this black and white Holean transformations, right? And we at a certain point in our life, we get to choose. We get to choose to transform from black holing to white holing. So when you do choose that, you start influencing. So you start influencing others. And I think in your life you can think of a lot of people that are white holes to you, that have influenced you, caused expansion. For me, it varies, right? My sister, she's made me connect more with myself, to understand my singularity better. She wrote this, she gave me this book, and at the bottom she signed it, Friend Since Birth. Like, it just, it's so awesome. Like, it's just constantly influencing me. So, and then another one is like Elon Musk, right? He's literally causing expansion by giving us the idea that we have to go to Mars, that we have to expand, that we have to take humanity further. So literal expansion. Then there's like an idea can be an influencer as well, an idea that has lived before, right? Like for me, Friedrich Nietzsche was, one of his ideas was that it was a white hole for me. And then this idea is actually about coming to the point, going through the transformation, coming to the point of white holing. So it goes something like this: you're born as a camel, because you're born in a society, in a place that already has pre-existing values. So these values, these things are placed upon you. So as a camel, you dutifully take it. But so this is like the pre-white hole, pre-black hole time, where you don't even recognize that white and black holes like still exist. So as a camel, you start questioning of things that are told to you, right? It's like You should do this, you should do that, you have to do this way, you have to do this that way. As you start questioning, and as you start questioning, you end up in a desert because you're a camel, but in like a lonely desert. So in this desert, you encounter this dragon. This dragon is all this. It has a lot of scales. All the scales say you should do this, you should do that. This is the way things are done. And the camel's like, no, like I want to do things my way, because I just feel like this is the right way. So as soon as the camel starts doing that, it wants to defeat this dragon, defeat these older values. So this is the black hole part, right? It's taking all these things in. It's getting maybe even inspired, awed by them, like not dutifully taking and understanding why they exist, but it's wanting to put out its own. So as it does that, it transforms into a lion. Because as a lion, this is more about ego, it's more about putting out. So you say, you know what, this is my way, and I'm going to do it this way because I feel like this is the right way. So defeat the dragon. So, and you set your own. And as soon as you do, like the funny and ironic part is like, whatever you just said, whatever you knew you just put out, becomes the old for the generation that comes afterwards. So you still haven't reached pure white holing phase, right? As the lion actually ends up transforming into a child, because as a child, the child did not know that it was a lion before or a camel before that. So it's in a free fall, self-defining state. So this is the white hole state, where it took all the wonders, got inspired, and then started putting out its own. So it's started redefining, and started causing expansion, right? Like after reading this, I couldn't really read a lot of, like I only read this passage of Nietzsche because everything else was just too dark. But after reading this, like I thought, oh, I'm in the lion stage. But then, yeah, life taught me that, hey, still you're still in your own little desert. So Nietzsche went through the same thing, right? He got wondered by the things. He took in all these wonders around him, gravitated towards his own singularity, understood himself very well, and then started putting out his own ideas, started redefining information. So once these emotionally charged ideas come out as passions, right, they have to be observed by other emotion-feeling beings. We're perfectly brewed for experiencing experiences. So as these passions, these emotions are put out, they have to be observed. You can't just scream that out. Like you can't scream your passion out to a wall. So another experiencer has to experience this. So once they're put out, like from a more of a holistic point, right? You're causing this expansion, but from a holistic point, you're actually these emotions, these passions are getting attracted to each other. So they're starting to gravitate towards each other. So they're actually, it's causing contraction. So they're trying to reach their own singularity. So these passions, these wonders, they just want to get to know each other more and more and more and more. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing virtual reality, right? Because I believe that emotionally charged technology has the ability to accelerate the emotional exchange rate between humans, to densify that process. So I think like technology comes to be not because that technology is available, but because our emotions drive it where it should go. And virtual reality exists now as as that state because it facilitates human emotional exchange rate. It facilitates that much better than any other technology before that, any other medium before that, right? You have the best of emotional transfer technology as Snapchat, which we're able to capture two senses and share it very quickly, right? Vision and sound. With virtual reality, we're using it to capture 3.5 senses, like motion and soon like haptic feedback. So we're able to capture this experience better, closer to what me and you are having sitting next to each other. So we're able to just define it a bit better and pass it on as an emotion quicker and more empathetic to other human beings. So we're able to capture wonder, define wonder, and pass it much quicker. So that's why I'm here, sharing my passion, giving my wonder back. I have a duty to, I got inspired through all these wonders around me. I have a duty to give it back. I have a duty to Whitehall, because if we don't, the universe will collapse upon itself. We are the ones that keep that equilibrium intact and cause expansion. So hopefully my whiteholing influences you to continue whiteholing as well.